Hey, so you remember that story post that I had about New South Wales having a bunch of weed mixed with spinach and then causing hallucinations, and me talking about needing a source? I think I found it. So, yeah, this is a pretty outlandish story, and I genuinely can't believe that this existed. It reminds me of that one time when there was this news recording, and there's this one guy that got high because there was a bunch of weed being burned right in front of him.
Burning behind me. Go. Quick, 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 quick. Wait, we just need one more.
So that's reporter Quinton Somerville. And as I mentioned, that was filmed 4 years ago, but it was never seen until now. I'm not entirely sure how it got leaked to the internet, but people are having a field day with it.
That's kind of what this reminded me of. A little bit, just because it involved marijuana. For those worried or just wondering, um, I'll leave the sources underneath just so that you can have a look for yourself. But I'm going to have screenshots so that you can see what I'm reading. So the article is accidentally harvested weed alongside spinach caused hallucinations in Australians. Neighboring crops are being destroyed as a precaution. Yeah, I will say they're at least trying to quarantine the situation to an extent, so appreciate that. This was yesterday at the time of recording. It's 1:46 p.m. in December 23rd. Testing has identified a toxic weed as the cause of hallucinations in nearly 200 individuals who ate baby spinach in Australia, South China Morning Post reported. The weed known as devil's trumpet or devil's snare was accidentally harvested and packed along with baby spinach at a producer's facility in New South Wales. Now um, I understand that it might look similar, but don't they have like sampling stations or something? Like at least in How It's Made episodes from what I've seen, they test the shit that they've harvested to see if it's real. So that's kind of scratching my head a little bit. The mishap came to light after people across 4 states in Australia reported symptoms of hallucinations after consuming products such as salads and stir fry mixes that have been sold at multiple brands of retail outlets in the island nation. Food Standards Australia issued a recall of these products with an expiry date of December 28th. I'm glad that they're taking steps as to trying to identify this. I think the expiration date in particular is fantastic to gauge exactly when it was made. So having having that as the basis is probably the best call in my opinion. Individuals consuming the culprit, yeah, experience symptoms such as dilated pupils, rapid heartbeat, dry mouth and skin, blurred vision, and fever, in addition to hallucinations and delirium, a lack of awareness of one's surroundings. Now, I'd imagine these people were tripping fucking balls whenever they consumed it, or they had actual edibles. That's what I'm getting into. Like, I can't imagine that. Well, I can only imagine it. I'm never gonna take weed myself. No shame to anybody that does. Just don't do that shit in front of me. But I'd imagine that caused like widespread panic, like the second that shit started hitting your brain. So I'd hate to be an Australian for one day. The devil's trumpet and baby spinach. At first, the contaminant was thought to be an herbicide or another chemical. That's very concerning if it actually was, because at that point, that'd probably be a much bigger lawsuit because chemicals in food don't tend to mix very well. However, after analyzing the source of the products across multiple retail brands, the investigators identified Riviera Farms in Victoria as the common provider of baby spinach to these outlets, making it easier to identify the culprit. Even as investigations were underway, experts suspected the presence of a weed that could have resulted in such an outcome. In the early stages of their growth, these weeds also appeared leafy green and could have been indistinguishable from the baby spinach leaves. And the question that is still in my head is who the hell planted this? Like, were they trying to hide their operations inside this area, or were they trying to pull a legitimate prank onto this company in particular? Like, were they trying to riot? That's the thing that I'm worried about, or, that's the thing that's still in my head. Like, what kind of reason would they have? Are they trying to make a statement? Or are they just trying to make it a joke? Though, given the social climate that we're in, I wouldn't be surprised if this was actually pulled as a prank. I mean, we had that one motherfucker that decided to do a fake suicide attempt. I'm saying that, but really all he did was just have a chair, a table in front of him. He sat down. The train was literally fucking millimeters away from his back because the train thankfully stopped at the exact right time, apparently. And that asshole got 3 years in jail. It was 3 people. 2 of them got 3 years. The other guy got 2 years, I think. So I'm glad that happened. Let's see here. The investigators then zeroed in on Devil's Trumpet, also known as Thornapple or Jimson weed, which was accidentally harvested with the spinach leaves and packed for supply to retailers. Riviera Farms is now destroying neighboring crops as a precautionary measure. What is the Devil's Trumpet? It's kind of adorable that they have to tell us about what this is when everybody's known about marijuana, though I'm not that versed. Like, this isn't my native language. I don't know the specifics behind marijuana. I didn't even know they had different types. The plant, whose scientific name is Datura stramonium, grows vigorously and is poisonous as it contains tropane alkaloids, which can lead to illness or even death. So this could have actually resulted in a very deadly lawsuit, if it hasn't already. I mean, poisoning 200 people like that with a high chance of dying is genuinely pretty scary. So I do wonder if the company's gonna make any pushes or anything like that. Like, I'm just wondering if they're gonna stick around, because I imagine this was purely by accident. Authorities have warned people against seeking out recalled products for recreational purposes since they are potentially deadly when consumed. Yeah, it's kind of a given with drugs these days. I mean, do we really need a frickin' cautionary tale? Well, some people are stupid, never mind. The incident once again brings the spotlight on climate change, which has been responsible for floods in Australia. This is the 3rd summer in a row where the phenomenon of La Nina has brought heavy rains to regions like Australia and has caused droughts in North and South America. Now, this I actually didn't know. I didn't think climate change would actually play a part in all this. But it does make sense as to, like, a sort of boom for crops. Well, considering, that's saying that the flood isn't going to destroy them, right? But even still, that is a good deal of water, which I'd imagine would be good to have, like, several more crops than you normally would. Months of rain and flooding in the country have caused weed seeds to move into areas where they haven't been present previously and then germinate in these areas. Australian farmers have been facing an unprecedented challenge of an explosion of weeds in their farms and will need to figure out ways to avoid such contaminations in the future. I don't know why that was really hard to read. Okay. So it was purely by accident. More so, Mother Nature tried to fuck their business because apparently this flood was the reason that these seeds came in the first place. My question at this point is where these seeds were stored. And I imagine if they could, like, if they take into account the direction of the flood, where the flood was going, etc., they might find the source, and then they might sue the proper person. That or they grow in the wild, I genuinely don't know. But at least they've gotten to, like, the reasoning behind that. So I am glad that that is solved, I guess. But the biggest worry at this point is the compensation and if this is going to go into the court of law in Australia. Because, again, there's 200 people. Now, I don't recall that much. I think it's like $1 million in the U.S. per person sick as compensation, if I remember correctly. So that's like one hefty lawsuit and one big budget that they're going to need if this is going to come to fruition. So I might actually follow up on this if there's any updates. That or I'll just leave it at that because I just plan to make this into a one-off, but I don't know. We'll see. I'm also, again, I will leave the post that I saw this from on the side, or in the description. I don't know. Sorry, but yeah, I think that about covers it. I am planning to. I might just do more of this. Just reading outlandish news articles. Not like people haven't done them before, but I'm just wanting to do the ones that pique my interest. And I haven't seen that many people talk about it on YouTube at least. So I don't know. I'm definitely not the first one to cover it, but I definitely just wanted to cover it anyway. So yeah, I guess if you're in Australia, just check your food, just like you check your candy on Halloween. And also, to anybody that's in cold regions right now, just stay warm. It was like 12 degrees in Dallas yesterday, even in the middle of the day, which was shocking. But yeah, I'll see everyone around.